Pray that God will bless us in the name of Jesus Christ. By the grace of God, today we are going to continue on what we have been discussing. Our objective this season is to look at money from every angle as much as possible within the time that we have this month and next month. And as you can see, this month is already gone. So the very first time that we met, we talk about what the Bible says about money, and what we're able to make out of that is the importance of money. That the Bible acknowledges the fact that money is essential for a good life. That is summary of that. And then from that first teaching, that led us into the second teaching, which is that even though the Bible acknowledges the important roles that money plays in our life, in ministry, in families, and things like this, the Bible makes it clear that we should not trust in riches. We should beware of mammon, because some people, because of, like the Bible says, that the love of money is the root of all evil. So because of the love of money, some people have gone in the way they should not have gone. They have done contrary to faith. And so God does not want us to do that. So he said we should be aware of mammon. We should avoid being in situation where Balaam found himself, which had to lead to him not being able to hear God because of greed, because of covetousness. So we have to be careful. That was basically all that I said last week. And then today, by God's grace, I want to still continue. What we are trying to let us realize is that, one, it's important for us to understand that God is our source. God is our source. Now, when God is your source, you will not be bothered by economic meltdown, because God is not affected by economic meltdown. When God is your source, even if you lose everything you have still not lost anything, because you have the understanding that those things came from someone who is reliable. So if they came from that person who is reliable, they can still come again and again from the same person. So for example, Job lost everything he had. Yes, he lost everything he had, but because God was his source, he was not only able to get back everything he has, but he was able to double everything that he has. That is because he has the consciousness that God is his source. Paul was speaking to Timothy. I believe it should be Timothy, and Paul said, God is the one that gives us all things. He giveth all things richly to enjoy. So God gives. God is a giver. So God is a source. Is our source. James said this way. James said, every good and perfect gift. James 1, I believe James said, every good and perfect gift is from God, the Father of lights, in whom there is no variableness nor shadow of turning. So we are not ashamed to acknowledge God as our source. In fact, Jesus said, without me you can do nothing. He is our source. He said, I am the vine, you are the branches. Now the vine is the part that carries the roots. So the vine is the supplier to the branches. If you study in Genesis 26, we come across that story of Isaac, how that Isaac will dig a well. When they dig a well, the Philistine will come and they will pursue him. Then they will go and dig another well. Again, they will come, they will pursue him. But I wonder, why were they pursuing him? Why were they having to close the well for which they pursued Isaac? Why did they have to, after Isaac leave, they will stay there and then they will close it and pursue us again? Why? It's because after Isaac left, the water also stopped. Which means that the source of the water is not just ordinarily the land in terms of talking about just mere geography. No, but the fact that Isaac himself was the one that carries the blessing. And because Isaac is the one that carries the blessing, he's not that is connected to the source, which is God. Every time Isaac leaves, it's as though the water also leave with Isaac. So even though the people pursued Isaac because of the water, once Isaac left and they saw that, oh, this water is no more here, they have to close the well back and pursue him to the second one, to the third one, until the fourth one, when they now stop pursuing him, when they realize that indeed God is with this man. In fact, they have to say, let's enter an agreement, let's enter like an oath. And Isaac called the name of that place Rehoboth. He called the name of the place Rehoboth. He said, the Lord has made room for me. But it's because I want us to realize that Isaac is the one that carried the source. You see that? He's the one that carries the blessing. And for us in the New Testament, it's even better because we are intimately connected to God. We carry the blessing everywhere we go and in everything. So being prosperous is our inheritance in Christ because God is our source. Is our source. But we must also realize, number two, we must also realize that God's resources are committed to God's kingdom. In fact, last week, I was saying that God's provision is for God's vision. Yes, it's the same thing. God's resources are what? Are committed to what? To God's kingdom. So if whatever you have, when you acknowledge the fact that God is the one who, when you acknowledge the fact that God is the one that provide for you, you realize that those resources should be committed towards kingdom advancement, towards kingdom assignment, towards the expansion of God's kingdom on earth. Therefore, number three, therefore, the resources that God gives is entrusted. In other words, when God provides for us based on how much we can be trusted. Remember in that story that Jesus gave, a person was giving 5, another person was giving 2, another person was giving 1, and he said they were giving according to their individual ability. According to their individual ability, and you realize that you can understand why the boss chose to give the person that give 5, the person that give 2, because even the person that gave 1, he should not have given him anything, because even the one that he was giving, he didn't do anything with it. He counted the master to be unfaithful. Meanwhile, he is the one that was said to be unfaithful. Because the other servant received the comment, said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. But for him, he did not receive the same comment because he was not faithful. So God's system for allocating his resources in terms of I'm talking about the physical resources on the earth, because the Bible says that the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell in. Can you be trusted? That is the question. Can you be trusted with God's resources? Jesus said that he that is faithful in little is faithful in much. I want to realize what he said. He didn't say he that is faithful in little will be faithful in what is much. No. He didn't say he will be faithful. He said he that is faithful in little is faithful in much. So when God is looking at you, when God sees the way you are faithful in the little things that were committed to your end, that is what is used in knowing if you are faithful also in much, to whom much is given, much is expected. Let's read Matthew 6. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Matthew 6. Eto koto sigaba. Mama late konto koto 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 koto. Gaga godo de. Bakinto kontos kefi kampante koshandi gabala. Matthew 6. I want to read for us from verse 19. From verse 19 to 21. It says, lay not up for yourself treasures upon earth, where moth and rust do corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust do corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. Now, my interest is verse 21. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Where your treasure is, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Do you know if I can, which means that what Jesus is saying there is that I can know where your heart is if I know where your treasures are. Don't tell me that your heart is on God if I cannot see how you have lavished your treasures into the kingdom. Into the kingdom. It is important to say this very carefully. Because, you see, you cannot say you are a bona fide member of a community where you don't have a sense of responsibility and accountability in that community. When you are a member of any community, you are supposed to have responsibility and accountability in that community. And one major responsibility you must have, among other things, is financial responsibility. Financial responsibility. For example, you cannot say that you are a bona fide member of any ministry where your resources are not directed to. So if you say, oh, I'm a follower of Pastor A, for example, the question is that how much of your resources has been committed, have you spent on the ministry that Pastor A is over? If you have not been spending your resources on that ministry, even if you claim that you are a bona fide member, maybe you claim that you listen to him very, very well, or maybe you connect to him online, you are not yet a bona fide member. Your heart is not yet connected to that ministry. Because once your heart is genuinely connected to that ministry, your resources will be directed towards that ministry. I repeat, once your heart is genuinely connected towards the ministry, your resources will also be what? Directed towards that ministry. So one thing that is also good to do is that sometimes maybe you are a new member of a ministry, for example, or maybe you feel like you are in a ministry and you're not really feeling the ministry. I tell you, one of the reasons why that happens is if you are not, is that your heart is not connected to the ministry. And one of the ways to make your heart to be connected to a ministry is to intentionally and start giving your resources towards that ministry. Today now, particularly now we're talking about we're talking about financial resources. You see, that's why sometimes, online ministry, like sometimes I join meetings online, or I join, maybe all of us do that. We join like even now we are online, right? As much as there is opportunity in that ministry, if they like here now we don't raise offering, so that is not what I'm talking about. But for example, you join a program online, and maybe the program happened in a church, and in that church they are raising offering. They say, okay, it's time to give to the Lord. It's time to give our offering. Try your best to give offering in that meeting. Don't say because you are connected online and not give. Once they project account number or they project out whatever means they have for giving, just do your best and give. That is how to be fully a partaker of the grace of God in that house, in that meeting on that day. That is how to, because that is how to let your heart, that is how to condition your heart to be connected to that ministry. Jesus said it. He said, where your treasures are, that is where your heart will be. So don't say that it's not about money. No. It's about money. It's about money. If truly you are committed to that ministry, if truly you believe in the grace of God in that ministry, you must direct your resources to that ministry. And don't wait till they ask. Take initiative. In fact, and this thing is not even just about ministry alone. It's not just about church alone. There are associations or political parties. If you are not a financial member of that association, or if you are not a financial member of that political party, you cannot be regarded as a bona fide member of the association. For example, in the university, we used to have what we call student association, maybe association of science students, for example, science students. Now you may be in science faculty, but and by the virtue of being in the science faculty, you are not automatic member of that association. Yes, but do you know that you are not yet a bona fide member of that association until you pay your dues? You are not yet a bona fide member because it is your due that confirm your commitment to the progress of that association. And that's why when time comes for election, one of the things that we set for criteria for election is that the person must be a financial member. If you are not a financial member, you cannot participate in election. The same thing with political parties. You can't say you're a member of a political party where you don't give your money to the affairs of that political party. You must give your resources, particularly now, financial resources, as a proof that indeed your heart is connected to that party. If you don't do that, you just be an errand boy in that political party. You just be an errand boy. They'll be sending you up and down. That is the best you can be. You cannot become a contestant or anything serious. You just be errand boy. And it is based on this thing that Jesus said, that where your heart is, where your treasure is where your heart will be. So you are a member of a church. Don't just be an attendee. In fact, there are churches where, sadly anyway, where even the pastors, who is supposed to be the head, he doesn't give to the church. And let me tell you this, go and look at those churches where their leader, or let me say their leaders, where they don't give, where they don't support financially. Those churches, they don't grow. They will struggle to move. You can go to that church for 3 years and their attendance will be between 20 and 30. They will remain that way for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, not because they are not anointed. They can be doing deliverances and be speaking in tongues and be praying and be doing all these wonderful things. But because their heart is not connected to that assignment, because if their heart is connected to the assignment, nobody will need to motivate them, or we need to bully them with going to hellfire before they will know that they ought to give towards God's assignment in the kingdom. But when you have a church where members are not serious, so to say, and or particularly where the leaders, the pastor, dead pastor himself is not committed financially, he may be preaching that people should give. There are people that they can preach and motivate you to give from now till then, but go and check the account. He is not giving himself, even though he's preaching that you should give. Those are the churches where you see that they maintain the same number for years. They remain the same average number for years, because the heart of the leader is not there. The heart of the leaders, their hearts are not there. Even if it is a business you are doing, if your heart is not in the business will not go. It will be prosperous. So if you want, so the way to get to your heart, now I gave other illustration to just corroborate that it's not only true in the kingdom, but it's also true even in other things. And if you are hearing me now, I am telling you, in case you are even wondering why you are not getting blessed in the church, this can be the reason. This can be the reason why you go to a church and the pastor is preaching and is saying wonderful things, and you feel like you are not feeling what he is saying. This can be the reason, because the pastor can say rubbish in quotes, and yet despite the rubbish in quotes, somebody will come the following Sunday and come and testify, because it is not necessarily so much about the pastor. God knows how to reach out to everyone whose heart is genuine. God knows how to reach out to everyone whose heart is genuine, whose heart is truly committed and connected to that ministry, who truly believe in the call of God in that ministry. And I said to you that one of the ways you prove that you truly believe in the ministry is that you will give your money to that ministry. You will direct your resources towards the affairs of that ministry. Now, I am laying this foundation very carefully because very soon we'll be talking about giving in the kingdom, and I may have to say some things, or maybe Pastor AY may say some things that may not be inconsistent with your previous knowledge. But I need to make this emphasis today to let you understand that irrespective of what we say later, is not we are not trying to say that in the kingdom we don't give. Giving in the kingdom is not optional. Do you understand that? It is not optional. It is not that if you like, you may give. If you like, you may not give. No. The same way that we don't say that prayer is optional. The same way that we don't say that attendance in church is optional. In the same way also, giving in church is not optional. You must give. Not by compulsion, not by somebody preaching you out or whatever, or making you to be afraid of hell, that if you don't give, you are going to hell. That is not the idea. But it is part of what you must do as a responsible son, as a committed son of the house. You must give. That is how to demonstrate your commitment to the assignment, to whatever God is doing in that house. And don't say you don't have. If you can eat twice in a day, then you have. Because if you can eat twice in a day, you can use the money for one of the food to give, and then just eat once in a day. Yes. In fact, if you take it that serious, you will not stay long in that stage before you know that you have more money to give. You will not stay long in that stage if you take it serious. But now do it for like 2 years or so. I'm telling you, you'll be amazed how God how you'll be promoted until when it will no longer be an issue. So everyone under my voice, before you say you don't have, do you have enough to eat twice in a day? If you have enough to eat twice in a day, that means that you have enough to give. Just simply cancel one food. And if I eat 3 times in a day, then that means that you don't even have any problem at all. Because you can just as well just cancel one food and eat twice. But that will not be a genuine, no excuse to be genuine, as long as you have money to be eating. Where your heart is, that is where your treasure is. In fact, did you know that one time God told me, one of the reasons why some Christians, why they don't see miracles, is because of this thing also. Because they are not showing their commitment to God's kingdom. They just want the results affiliated to the kingdom. So they want to prophesy, and the prophecy come to pass. No, that will look good. They want to lay hand on the sick, and the sick get healed. They want to do those wonderful things. But they don't want to lose their resources. So they want to eat their cake and have it. They are not living in the consciousness of the fact that truly, those who truly get results from the kingdom are those who are dead and are now living by the life of Christ. And that is authentic Christianity. Dead, crucified. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Yet not I, but Christ live in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith of the Son of God, who loved me and died for me. Galatians 2:20. So when you come to the consciousness that Christ is now the one living in you, releasing anything you have into Christ cannot be an issue. And when you respond that way, it says, the Bible says that we are bought with a price. So when you respond with the coin of the that you don't belong to yourself any longer, you now belong to a higher person, to God. When you respond that way with your resources, and you show the genuineness of your heart as kingdom ambassador, as kingdom representative, as a committed child of the kingdom, you won't even need to deal so much with demons. You will not need to go and kill for deliverance. You won't need it. You won't even need to be fighting with. Some Christians fight with demons. They fight with demons. When they are casting demons, they argue, talk back and talk back, talk back and talk back. Some of these things happen because some of those people are not. Their heart is not committed to the kingdom. Like somebody said that the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. The heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. So many become Christian so that they can be rich. So when they become Christian and they are making some money, because they have that impression of making of Christianity is an avenue to make money. So they begin to accrue money. Their hand is not giving. Their hand is just receiving. And that is a terrible state to be. Is a terrible state for any child of God to be, where you are just after getting. You belong to this association is just to get, not to give. You are a member of a church is just to get, not to give. So you see this miracle service, you attend it because you want to receive a miracle for money, miracle for whatever it is, but it's just about what you want to receive. And your heart is not genuinely connected. Of course, as a baby, you may receive the miracle despite that. Yes, you can receive the miracle despite that. You can, because even God can do miracle to unbelievers. To somebody who is not born again, he can receive miracles, can receive healings. All the people that just eat in the Bible, how many of them were really his followers? The person who was the closest follower, closest, so that you can say his closest, was Peter's mother's in-law. Not Peter himself, Peter's mother's in-law. All other people, they were not his followers, and yet they were healed. And even the one that was in sin, he said, "Go and sin no more." The person was already healed. The person was already healed. He already healed the person before saying, "Don't sin again, no." But at least the person was already healed. So you can be healed even when you are still a sinner. But understand that even when you are healed as a sinner, that is not the ultimate. That is just like a hook, like a hook to just catch your attention for God. That's just what that is. Nothing else. But the cruise of the matter, what really brings true satisfaction, is when your heart is established in truth in the house of God. Because the house of God is the pillar of truth. Your heart must be established in the heart of God, in the house of God. And one of the ways to demonstrate that, or one of the ways is in your giving. And again, I said it again, that, and sometimes if you are struggling to get your heart connected to a house, maybe a ministry or whatever, what you have to do, one of the things that you can do, is to start giving your resources. Start giving your resources to that ministry. That's just one of the things. The other thing that you can do, or that you should do, because, like for example, now you also start praying for that ministry. You pray for the ministry and you give to the ministry. It is impossible. You can't do those two things, and you will not be blessed by a ministry. Even if the ministry you will be blessed, because God's faithfulness is what is backing your own action. As you pray for the ministry and you give, you pray, you give, and you do it consistently, you continue doing it, that will condition your heart to the ministry. And before you know it, you will start being a partaker of the grace of that house. You will start to be a partaker of the grace of the house. Mashaka balagada, brogoto sefika balagade, mbakato kontom bregedinaska fatabala. Let me quickly listen for us today before we go. This is what I was supposed to do today too, but I think time is already gone. But I will see how far I can go. 2 Corinthians 8. Now I know we have like just 20 more minutes, but let's see how far I can go. 2 Corinthians 8. So we want to read this whole chapter and probably to chapter 9 if we have grace. So let's see. So that it will be simple, I will read NLT and see how, and let's see how it will go. Now I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, I was just reading it, and at some point I will stop and explain where it necessary, or probably make a comment, because I cannot explain everything now. I mean, time has gone, but I will try. Now I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, what God in His kindness has done to the churches in Macedonia. The churches in Macedonia. In fact, there are two main churches in Macedonia: Philippians and Thessalonians. And it is very, very much interesting to realize that this church in Macedonia, particularly the Philippians church, is one church that Paul was very, very much bold. He was bold to say that you are partakers of my grace. He said, you are partakers of my grace. This same church, this same Philippians, is the same church that Paul said, and my God shall supply all your needs. Now, he didn't say that statement out of blue moon. He said that statement in the context of the fact that those people have given to his ministry. They have given. In fact, maybe we should go and read it very quickly before you come back here. Philippians 4. Philippians 4. Maybe we should start from verse what now? Oh, malabrondo godombro godobondo brogodovende bedina diagadebende fedig. Look at it. Verse 18. But I have Philippians 4 and verse 18. In fact, let's have verse 15. Verse 15. Now you Philippians know also that in the beginning of the gospel, when I departed from Macedonia, I told you that Macedonia has two churches mainly, Philippians and Thessalonica. Based on the letter that I wrote now, when I departed from Macedonia, no church communicated with me as concerning giving and receiving, but you only. In other words, but the Philippian only. Which means that when Paul referred to Macedonia in that 2 Corinthians, he was talking more specifically about the Philippians, because he just told you here now that the Philippians were the only one that ministered to him in the area of giving and receiving. For even in Thessalonica, you see that Thessalonica is the second place, also Macedonia. Even in Thessalonica, you sent once and again unto my necessity, not because I desire a gift, but I desire fruit that may abound to your accounts. This is interesting. But I have all and abound. I am full, having received of Epaphroditus the things which were sent from you, from the Philippians, an odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well pleasing to God. So I want to see that they gave to Paul ministry. That's what Paul is talking about. How that they gave to his ministry. How that they supported his ministry. Now with that background, that now lead to verse 19, which most of us normally quotes. But my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. You see that this verse 19 did not come out of nowhere. It came out of the context of, it was talking to people who have given to his ministry. So he didn't say that to another church. He said it to this particular church because they have given to his ministry. So when I was telling you that if you want to be a partaker of the grace of God in the ministry, one of the things you need to do is to be an active giver to that ministry. Don't just say you listen to their message. Don't just say you connect to them online. Don't just say, oh, Pastor, I know Pastor, let's say for example, Pastor Paul Juge. He's a great man of God. I always connect to Wolfberg. I'm a partaker. Don't just say that. When you partake of that meetings, give in that meeting also. Otherwise, you will not enjoy the fullness of the blessing that altar, that ministry carries. You will not enjoy it. You will not be a full partaker of the grace of God in that ministry, because it demonstrates that your heart is not connected to that ministry. Anyway, so you see here that the Philippians were the Macedonian church that gave into Paul ministry. And having given to Paul ministry, Paul said, but my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches. And in fact, if you go and like I said, that in fact, look at this. If you go to Philippians 1, just to show you something. Philippians 1, just to read verse 7 alone, because of time. Even as it is meet for me to think this of you all. Philippians 1 verse 7. Even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bond and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, you all are partakers of my grace. You all are partakers of my grace. I'm telling you that. Look at the way Paul is talking to this Philippians church, which is like I said before, that is the main church in the Macedonian church that communicated to Paul in giving and receiving. And Paul said they are partakers of his grace. So think about it. If you are part of the ministry, you don't give that ministry, you are not. You see, you won't enjoy fully the grace available in that ministry. Of course, you may get some things here and there, but not fully. You won't be a full partaker of that blessing. For example, you are part of a ministry where the ministry is a prophetic ministry, for example, and you realize that you are not prophetic. You are not prophetic, and you're wondering why are you not prophetic. I'm telling you, this is the answer. This is the answer. This is the answer to why you are not enjoying the grace available in that ministry. Or you are part of a ministry where they talk about, like in this ministry now, for example, we talk about excellence, and we communicated light in this ministry. And when you open your own Bible, you don't see anything than deliverance. You don't see light. Maybe it's because your resources are not yet channeled towards this ministry. That's why you're not yet a partaker of the grace. Not because the grace is not available. And you don't need anybody to come and lay hand on you or pray an extra prayer for you or speak in tongue over you. No. When you are intimately connected, you will indeed partake of the available grace in that ministry. Now, back to 2 Corinthians 8 that we're reading. Wow, time is really fast spent, but I like that. I like that I'm cool. I'm not washing myself. So now I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, 2 Corinthians 8. I'm starting from verse 1 again. Now I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, what God in His kindness has done to the churches in Macedonia. They are being tested by many troubles, and they are very poor. Notice that they are very poor. So the Philippians church were very poor. This is interesting. But they are also filled with abundant joy, which has overflowed into rich generosity. So it is possible to be very poor and yet be richly generous. It is possible to be very poor and yet be richly generous. So don't say that the reason why you are not generous is because you don't have. No, because you are poor. No, that's not the good reason. The Macedonian church were very poor and yet they were richly generous. Now let's see. For I can testify that they gave not only what they could afford. Do you see that? They didn't just give what they can afford. They gave not what they could afford, but far more. And they did it of their own free will. I want to be noticing this that I'm calling attention to. They didn't just give what they could afford. They gave more, and yet they are doing it out of their free will. They are poor, and yet they are richly generous. Be noticing this their description. They beg us. Can you imagine they are begging? They beg us again and again for the privilege of sharing in the gift for the believers in Jerusalem. The gift they're talking about, the money that they are contributing to go and give to the believers in Jerusalem, because at that time those believers were in famine. So the Philippians church, or let's just say the Macedonian church, they contribute, which include the Philippians church, they contributed money and sent to them, and they saw it as a privilege. A privilege so much that they have to beg that please let us do it. They beg, please let us do it. They beg again and again for the privilege of sharing in the gift for the believers in Jerusalem. They even did more than we had hoped. In other words, they exceed the expectation of Paul and his colleagues. They did more than their thoughts. For their first action, this is their first action. Now look at this. This is the key. Their first action was to give themselves to the Lord and to us. So they don't just say, I gave my heart to God. He's a God. No. They gave themselves to God and to us. Us they're talking about to Paul ministry. So if you are part of a ministry, you are part of a church, don't just say that you are born again, that your heart is for the Lord. No, as your heart is for the Lord, let your heart also be connected to the church. Give your heart to the church or to the ministry. Paul said this is the first thing that this church did, and that was why they could give. Despite that they don't have so much, they could give generously, they could give willingly, they could give exceeding expectations. They could do all of that because they did first thing first. The first thing is that their heart is given to the Lord and their heart is given to the ministry. First thing first, their heart to the Lord, and then their heart to the ministry. It says, they even did more than we had hoped, for their first action was to give themselves to the Lord and to us, just as God wanted them to do. So God wants your heart not only to be given to God, but I've often said that you're giving your heart to God. Whatever ministry you are part of, you need to give your heart to that ministry. Give your attention to that ministry. And like I said before, the way to demonstrate that you have given your heart to that ministry is by giving your resources. One of the ways, by giving your resources to that ministry. Of course, there are like 4 main ways, but the 2 main one is you give your heart to the ministry, and you spend time praying for that ministry. Praying for that ministry. Of course, the other 2 ways that you must attend their programs. You must attend their program, and you must be involved in publicity of whatever they are doing in that ministry. You must be involved in the publicity of whatever they are doing in that ministry. See, this I'm telling you, it's not just about money. It's about how to be truly blessed in the ministry that you are part of. And if you take it serious, it will help you anywhere you find yourself, any ministry you are in. It will help you a lot. You give your money. You are in attendance, participating in the attendance. You attend for the program. Then you pray for the ministry, and you are involved in publicity of the ministry. You do your best. You invite people to church. Don't wait until the pastor says it. Invite people to church. Go all out and say, hey, this one is our church. Come to our church. You have to be involved that way. You have to be involved that way. That is how to be truly, truly blessed in that ministry. And quite frankly and truthfully, this is not only true to physical church, like in maybe a building, but even if you are part of the ministry like this, our ministry where we meet online, you have to do these things also. And so some of you that are doing it, I'm sure you are seeing the results and the difference that it's making in your life. You can't say, like some of you tell me some things and say, no. If you want to partake, if you see any grace in this ministry and you want to partake of that grace, don't wait for me to come and lay hand on you. Start doing this thing that I am saying. Start doing this thing I am saying. You will naturally become a partaker of that grace. It's a matter of commitment. You will naturally become a partaker of that grace. I don't have time to share with you my personal experience, but maybe some other time we can talk about it. But let me go ahead, because my time is gone. But God wants you to do that way. So we have urged Titus, or maybe I should stop here because of time. Let me continue. So we have urged Titus, who encouraged your giving in the first place, to return to you and encourage you to finish this ministry of giving. So which kind of minister is Titus? Minister of giving. Giving is a ministry. The same way that you covet prophetic gifts, that you covet all these other gifts in all these other ministry gifts, you also ought to covet the giving ministry. I tell you, I coveted it when I just became born. I mean, I don't normally say born again, but when I started, I think the right thing to say is to say that when I started getting serious with God, that's the word, because I was born again before then. There is this pastor in my church in Redeem, way back in the state. This man was a like, this man can give anything to God. My pastor can give anything. When I look at his life, I say, God help me. God help me. Because I was coming from a background of one of these other churches where if somebody give in those days, somebody give 50k, 100k, they will announce it and make all the big deal out of it. And they can give the person a title, maybe a chief or one title in the church. Now, I'm not against giving title. I'm not against announcing it. That's not my point. My point is that when I joined the church, I saw a church where they were giving, especially that pastor. In fact, the pastor is the current secretary to Pastor Adeboye. I mean, as I checked last time, I don't know of now, but as at last year, it was the secretary to Pastor Adeboye. But then it was just a parish pastor in my church. He can give anything. When I saw that man, I coveted it. I did. And I'm happy I did. And I started out from that time to give to God's work as God gave me grace. So I always give myself challenge. Whatever offering I give this year, the following year I will give more. That's why I don't get involved in argument about tithe or not tithing. Even though we're still going to talk about tithing, but my point here is that even as far back as then, I never considered tithing as anything. As far back as then, when I was a teenager, as early as I became serious with God and I saw this pastor, I never saw tithing as a standard. I never saw it as a standard. Never saw it as a standard. And I can say that today I'm a partaker of that grace. That man is no more. I mean, I'm not close to the man. In fact, even then I wasn't close to him because I was a teenager. I was a young boy, so he has many assistants, many pastors working with him. I was just a newcomer in the church, but I learned from him. From that, imagine, that man will never knew I learned that much from him. He will never have known. Maybe I plan to go and see him when I go to Nigeria, to try and see him and just go and say thank you to him, because he will never have known that he impacted somebody's life this much. But he did. Oh, he did. And thank God for his life. Can we just pray? Let's stop here for today. Let's stop here. I didn't even get to the main thing I want to talk about, but that's fine. I like the way I flow. Can we just pray and talk to God? I want to talk to God. However, this teaching may have concerned you. You see, if there is anything that I want you to have gained from this teaching, is that I want to gain answers to the reason why you may not have been fully benefiting from the ministry of your pastor, from the ministry of your leader, from the ministry of those who are above you. I'm trying to let you understand one of the reasons could be because your heart is not genuinely connected to that ministry, as evidence in the fact that you are not giving to that ministry. And that in case you think that your heart is connected there, or if you want your heart to be connected, one of the ways to also do it is by intentionally and deliberately giving to that ministry. Even if you don't feel like, just be giving. Jesus said, where your treasure is, your heart will be there. So you can condition your heart to be in the ministry by consciously, consistently, and continually giving to that ministry. And I have said that God only, our resources in the kingdom is entrusted, is based on trust. As you are faithful with whatever you have, more will be committed to your hand. More grace. Grace will be getting increase and increase. Yeah. And there is a grace to give, just like there's a grace to also receive. And God is interested in your prosperity. God is interested in your prosperity. And our apostle said that to be a bona fide member of a community, either it's a church, it's a political party, it's an association, or anything, you must, one, give your finance to that association or that church or that ministry. Two, you must pray for that ministry. Now, of course, if it is a secular place, there may be some other things that they're doing there, but prayer is very, very important from the angle of the ministry wise. 3, you must attend their program. Attend programs, because as you attend programs, you will be taught, you will partake of degrees available during the teachings, all those things. And 4, you must be involved in the publicity of that program. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And do your best to practice this thing that we have talked about today. Practice it. Apply it in your life. And you will see how your life will be changed in a matter of years to come. You'll be amazed where this will put you. I'm telling you, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. The things I was giving in those years, I said I was a teenager. I can't even, those are things that we say they were more than my tithes then. But today, I can't give those things as offering now. I can't even imagine. It's not even possible. Like God, that is already gone and gone forever. I can't even give my salary then, now, and say I'm giving something. But I started out with that 1,000 naira, that 500 naira, that 200 naira. I started out by giving out 50 naira. I increase it 100 naira. I increase it 200. I increase it 500. I increase it 1,000. So when I was coming to the US, I was already giving at least 1,000 as offering. That when I was coming to the US. So that's like maybe how many years ago? Maybe like 5 years ago, or more than that. So do your best. Put this thing to practice. God bless you. Have a wonderful night.